The Cursed Cabin of Blackwood. The small, remote village of Blackwood was nestled deep within a dense, ancient forest, untouched by the modern world. It was a place where the whispers of the trees seemed to echo with secrets, and the locals spoke in hushed tones about the forbidden cabin that lay at the heart of the woods. The cabin was a place of dread and despair, avoided by all who knew of its existence. It was said that the cabin was cursed, a dwelling where dark rituals had once taken place. A sense of foreboding hung in the air, and it was a place that no one dared approach. As a young and fearless outsider, I was intrigued by the village's tales and eager to prove my courage. Ignoring the warnings, I ventured into the forest, determined to find the cabin and uncover its mysteries. The journey was treacherous, the trees seeming to close in on me with every step. The air grew colder and an eerie mist descended, obscuring my vision. Yet my determination pushed me forward, deeper into the heart of the woods. Finally, I stumbled upon the cabin, and it was even more sinister than the villagers had described. Its time-worn, rotting wood appeared to whisper to me, and the air was thick with a malevolent energy. I couldn't help but shudder, but I was committed to solving the riddle that surrounded this place. Entering the cabin, I was greeted by a haunting sight, a room filled with candles, casting flickering, ghostly shadows. A circle inscribed on the floor bore arcane symbols, and an ancient tome lay open beside it. It was a room where the darkest of rituals had been performed. As I explored further, I discovered a hidden cellar, and the stench of decay filled the air. Inside, I found a series of underground chambers, each containing something more grotesque than the last. Human remains lay scattered, a testament to the horrors that had unfolded in this place. Deep within the cellar, I came across a locked door, and a sense of dread washed over me. With trembling hands, I forced the door open, revealing a chamber that held unspeakable evil. There, in the dim light, was a figure, a grotesque, otherworldly entity. It turned to face me, its eyes filled with malice, and in that moment, I realized the truth. The cabin was not just a place of darkness, it was a prison. The entity had been bound within for centuries, and my intrusion had set it free. With a horrifying shriek, it lunged at me, and I fled the cabin in terror. But it was too late. The forest itself seemed to conspire against me as the trees twisted and contorted, blocking my escape. Cornered and defenseless, I met a fate that I could never have foreseen. The entity's malevolent grip closed around me, and I was engulfed in darkness. The village of Blackwood would never know of my fate, and the cabin remained untouched by those who had warned me. It had claimed yet another soul, adding to its list of victims as the ancient forest whispered its secrets into the dark night. Whispers from the attic. The neighborhood was picturesque, and the locals were friendly, making it the perfect place to start fresh after a tumultuous year. Little did I know that my dream home would become a nightmare. The house itself was a grand Victorian, a true architectural marvel, with ornate details and a sprawling garden. The moment I stepped inside, I was enchanted. The hardwood floors creaked with history, and the antique furniture left behind by the previous owner added to the house's character. The first few months were idyllic. I immersed myself in renovations, restoring the house to its former glory. But as the days grew shorter and the nights colder, unsettling things began to happen. It started with subtle noises. A soft whisper in an empty room. The sound of footsteps in the hallway when I knew I was alone. I convinced myself it was just the house's quirks, but the disturbances grew more intense. Objects moved inexplicably, doors slammed shut, and whispers turned into chilling laughter that echoed through the corridors in the dead of night. I felt as though the house itself had come to life. One evening, as I was about to retire to my bedroom, I heard a voice. A woman's voice, soft and imploring, coming from the attic. I ascended the narrow staircase, my heart pounding with trepidation, and pushed open the attic door. The room was dimly lit by a single window, and there, in the corner, stood a spectral figure. She was a woman, dressed in a flowing white gown, her hair cascading down her shoulders. Her eyes held an unspoken sorrow, and she extended her hand toward me, uttering words that sent a shiver down my spine. "Help me." I retreated in fear, slamming the attic door shut. My mind raced, and I delved into the house's history. What I uncovered was a tragic tale of a woman who had once lived in the house, a woman who had disappeared without a trace, her spirit forever bound to the place she once called home. Desperate for answers, I reached out to a paranormal investigator. We ventured into the attic together, and the room seemed to come alive with an eerie energy. The investigator held a seance, and the spectral woman returned, her presence both haunting and ethereal. As she spoke through the investigator, she revealed the truth. She had been a victim of a terrible crime, and her remains were buried beneath the garden. She had never found peace, and her spirit had remained trapped in the house seeking justice. Determined to help her find closure, I contacted the local authorities, and a thorough investigation ensued. They unearthed her remains, bringing long overdue closure to her tragic story. With the discovery, the supernatural disturbances ceased, and the house grew quiet once more. In the end, the Victorian house, with its grandeur and charm, had concealed a dark secret. It had been a witness to a terrible crime, and the spirit of the woman had reached out from the other side, seeking justice. As I stood in the garden, I couldn't help but wonder how many other homes held secrets, stories of the past waiting to be uncovered, and how many restless spirits lingered in the shadows, yearning to find their way to the light.
Impressive. Mr. Sanctuary admires your bravery. If you enjoy horror stories, I strongly recommend you to subscribe to this channel. Don't forget about the like. Till next time,